If you've ever pushed through marketing your book while running on fumes and told yourself, this is just how it has to be right now, your heart is going to be so happy you're tuning in today. My sweet friend Julie Lefebure joins me today to share encouragement from her new devotional, Made for More 365 Devotions for the Woman Who Refuses to Settle. I met Julie in a writing community many years ago, and it's been such a blessing to see how God has worked through her blog and her books and her encouragement for real life podcast, too. She truly is a blessing. So if you're ready to go from existing to really thriving in what God's calling you to do, you're in for a treat today. So let's get to it. Welcome, Julie. This is so fun to have you on Book Marketing Mania today.
It's so fun to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. And as y'all heard me gush on Julie in the introduction, I'm so excited about her new devotional, Made for More 365 Devotions for the Woman Who Refuses to Settle. Okay. So I was telling Julie that I definitely needed a new devotional, and this just seemed to be speaking to my heart for sure. So I'm so excited to dive into it. And I wanted to ask you first, Julie, about the word settle. What does that mean to you, especially in regards to your peers, that are tuning in, that are writers and authors?
Well, I'm taking settle from a different perspective than the worldly perspective. This book is coming from a Christian background where I just know that God has more for us than what we even can ask or imagine. And so that word settle, in my certain circumstances, I know that I have just kind of settled into what's comfortable. My original book was supposed to be a book about living uncomfortable, and that will come out next at some point. But this just all of a sudden came to the forefront. I'm like, in order for us to be able to embrace really what God has for us, I feel like we need to step out and not settle for the everyday, ordinary things that we just get used to. And God might be calling us to something more. And are we willing to really just step out of that? And it's going from existing to really thriving. And so that's why that's kind of been my focus lately is am I settling for less than God's best for my life?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to write this devotional for those of us who have felt like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of just settling into this and maybe there is something more. And even for us as writers, that God calls us to step out and write and do things that maybe are really out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of settling for what we've always done, what if we just really looked for him and say, hey, lead me, Lord, guide me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah, because I think that's, it's so common. Like we kind of just go, okay, here's our little checklist that we're doing, or we're looking at, our fellow peers and going, oh, that's what we're supposed to be doing to market a book, or that's what we're supposed to be doing to grow an audience. And it's like, but is that really what he wants us to be doing? And I struggle with that on book writing,
Oh, yeah.
and, some podcasting and all the good things. Well, so a couple of the messages in there that I think is so common with writers and authors is your message about, thinking that when we run on empty, that's just normal, right? And that's what we should be doing. And especially I think about it right now while you're in the middle of, you just released this beautiful new book. So I imagine some of those feelings might be coming up for you as well.
Yeah.
But talk about, what do you think happens there? Like, why do you think we get to that point? Where we do think, oh, this is just how it's supposed to be. If we're launching a book or trying to market a book or write a book even, we just give it our all, but then we just get so depleted. Why do you think that happens?
Yeah. I think that we're not filling ourselves back up.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago, I heard a woman talk. I was at a conference and she was talking about, we as women, imagine us being a pitcher full of water and we keep pouring out and we keep pouring out and pouring out, pouring out, pouring out. Pretty soon, we as a pitcher of water become empty. And if we don't take time to fill ourselves back up from our source, we don't have anything left to give.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a big culprit, that we just keep pouring and doing and the next thing. And we keep looking, okay, I'm feeling behind. So I got to keep going. I got to keep going. We need to stop and we need to pause and we need to fill ourselves back up. And that may look different for each individual person, but I think that's the key. If we don't pause and fill ourselves back up, we will always run on empty. And then there's burnout, and then there's We get we're exhausted. I mean,
Mhm.
and that becomes really a physical thing that we get sick. And
Mhm.
God, that's not our best. We can't function when we're not taking care of ourselves very well. So I think that's a big culprit. And I also believe that we do need to take care of ourselves on a daily basis, whether that's rest, whether that's eating foods that feed our bodies, whether that's internalizing the things that we take in. What are we watching, reading? Who are we hanging around? All of those things really do make a difference. And
Mhm.
so I remember my mom used to say, even when I was, gosh, a young mom, Julie, you're burning the candle at both ends.
Mhm.
And she was right. And I would be on empty. And it just took me a long time to really figure out, okay, I got to do some things different so I
Mhm.
don't run on empty because
Yeah.
we can't function very well on empty.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking
Hmm.
about this might have been on your podcast just last week. We're thinking about we're just busy, right? We get so busy. I mean, everybody talks about that. Now, that it was on your podcast. So I remember you sharing that like
Hmm.
you've taken that word out of your
Yes,
vocabulary.
I have.
And do you think you talked about that? Is it really, busy or are we spiritually disconnected, which I think is what you were kind of talking about before?
Hmm.
But do
Hmm.
you, because I know you have some coaching that you can give us as well, Julie, in addition to being a beautiful writer, but I'm curious, like, do you feel like um, I'm so busy and that's what's causing the spiritual disconnect? Or do you, I also think this probably, I'm probably asking this super vulnerably, like for myself, is like, do you feel like it's, oh, wait, maybe the spiritual disconnection comes first and then you're busy? Like you're just like, I'll just be busy because I don't know what else to do. I feel like sometimes that
Yeah.
happens to me.
Yeah. I think it's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg type of
Mhm.
thing. I firmly believe that there's a season in each of our lives, no matter what age we're at, that we find that we are just truly busy. And like I said, I don't even like saying that word. I've
Yeah.
really taken it
Yeah.
out of my vocabulary. And that was when I wrote my first book, Right Now Matters. I talked about living just undistracted. And
Mhm.
that word busy, we might get so busy that we do become spiritually disconnected because we start craving that adrenaline rush
Mhm.
of the busy, of the activity. And it starts to feel awkward. It starts
Mhm.
to feel weird when we stop and we do connect spiritually, with God. It becomes very awkward. It just doesn't feel right because we've stopped that busy part of our
Mhm.
lives. And so I also think the opposite could be true where we do feel spiritually disconnected. And then all of a sudden we're like, okay, I got to fill that void with something else. So
Mhm.
I'm going to go this direction and just go full bore. And uh, we just take our focus off really what's important. So I think
Mhm.
both can be true.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a cycle. We just keep
Uh-huh.
doing the same thing again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just realizing, well, like you're the whole book, right? You're made for more than that. And well, that's what, because I just wanted to ask you about that because I think about that a lot. Like sometimes I feel like spiritually disconnected on certain areas of my life. Like I'm
Mhm.
not really bringing this area to the Lord, but I'll
Mhm.
give him these other areas,
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
you do realize you get so unbalanced and you're like, wait a minute, something's off here. I'm not following what his plan is for me. And I need to think back on that. So I wanted to ask you, so in your devotional, you have a beautiful layout of it being like reading for 6 days and, then reflecting on that and then taking a day of rest, which I think is so important. And I'm so glad you
Mhm.
included that. And I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about one of the weekly reflection prompts that you have in your devotional
Yeah.
is, and you do it every week, right? Look back and how do you notice when God invited you to stop settling? And I think that's such a beautiful prompt, but it made me think, well, that's a good question. Like I need to ask Julie about that because what do you think that looks like, for you to feel like you're noticing that he's, knocking on your door going, hey, you are settling for less than what I have for you?
Yeah. So where did I notice God invited me to stop settling? And the only way we're going to know that is if we stop and spend time with him. Otherwise we're not going to know what God is prompting us to stop settling in.
Mhm.
And that can be anything
Mhm.
from us physically taking care of ourselves to, am I settling for getting less rest than I need? Am I settling in my relationships where maybe I need to address something and I'm not, confident in doing that? I mean, it could be anything.
Mhm.
And I think that part of my life, I got so tired of settling. I mean, I really did. All of a sudden, it was just like a light bulb moment where I'm like, I am settling in so many areas of my life that I felt like I almost wasn't honoring God in them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what woke me up. I'm like, wait a minute, John 10:10 says that he says that he came to give us life and life with abundance. And so there's no settling, in that kind of life that he gives us. So I've really taken that scripture to heart that when I settle, I'm not really offering my best. I'm
Mhm.
not really following my best. I mean, I'm just getting by, and that's not God's plan for our lives. I
Mhm.
I mean, that's my take on it. I don't
Yeah.
believe that God he doesn't want us to settle, because when we do settle, not only does it affect us, but it also affects those around us.
Mhm.
When I start settling, again, this has nothing to do with abundance of the world, the
Mhm.
things, the stuff, the accumulation of stuff. It's not that. But when I start settling, it affects everybody around me. It could
Mhm.
affect my husband. It could affect my kids, my grandkids, the people that I walk through in life with. It really affects their lives too. And
Mm.
so when we just draw back and say, okay, God, show me where I'm settling, he'll show us. And it
Mhm.
may feel uncomfortable. It
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
will
that's
feel
so true.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I don't want to change that. I'm really happy and comfortable in this area.
Uh-huh.
Well, maybe he's trying to grow us in something that we know we should be growing in, but we don't want to, because
Yeah.
it's just easier sometimes not to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's
Hmm.
that's really how I feel. And again, I think about it like how you just kind of segment off things and it's like you may be openly admitting like, okay, I think I am settling in this area of my life, but then like he's gonna point out, oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute, let's talk about this area over here, which is why I love like the devotional idea again, especially how you've done it over 365 days. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just so many themes in there that you may not be thinking about, but when you get to that
Yep.
day, it's like, oh, God's gonna let you know if this is something on his
Yeah.
mind and yeah,
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to sweep it under the rug like sometimes I like to do it. I'm sure others do too.
Oh, I know. I know. Yeah. And it's just so many areas of life that we can just be flourishing in more than we are. And I just want God's best for me. I don't want to miss one single thing he has for me. And that's really my heart in it. And it's
Yeah.
not just a selfish thing. I just want to
Yeah.
be the best woman I can be for his glory. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah. And not put it in the worldly perspective by any means. Well, so
Yeah.
as you are in the middle of getting this book baby out into the world,
Yeah.
if you had to like push rewind just a little bit on,
Yeah.
getting ready for a book launch or even, building your audience or anything for this book, is there anything that you're like today looking at going, oh, I wish I would have started this just a little bit sooner?
Oh, the whole thing. Some of the material came from my podcast. I
Uh-huh.
did a series last summer called The Summer
Yeah.
of Abundance, and it was a 12-week series.
Hmm.
And so when I was thinking about, okay, what's going to be my next book, I pulled from that series some of the material because I thought, this is stuff that I need in my life, and I feel
Hmm.
like my reader needs it too. And so I started really writing this when I came home from an event with some ladies that I'm in a prayer group with on Monday mornings. And we
Hmm.
met in St. Louis, and we had a great weekend away. And I started thinking about it on the way home when we were brainstorming. And that's when I started writing it. So it was like the first week of August. And so this came together very quickly.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, but I had a lot of material already,
Uh-huh.
tucked in my mind, and I broke it out in different groups of how I can just write about different aspects of
Uh-huh.
not settling in life. And so I felt kind of behind the eight ball from the very beginning. I felt behind.
Uh-huh.
And I know I wasn't, but that's just, I like to have more time, more
Uh-huh.
space. And so I was very adamant about daily writing, sitting here and writing 365 took a long
Yeah,
time,
wow.
a
And
long time.
you self-published, right? You're your own boss, right?
Mhm.
Saying, "You gotta get this
Yes.
book done."
Yes. And so then I passed it off to my editor, who was my best friend in high
Uh-huh.
school. And she is a Nazi when it
Oh.
comes to punctuation and grammar. And she is a high school English teacher. And so she edited the book for me. And then I found someone to do the cover and the interior. And it all worked like clockwork, but it
Uh-huh.
was down to the wire. I wanted to have this out before a conference that I spoke at on April 18th.
Uh-huh.
And the books came to me the Monday before the conference.
Oh,
So it was
wow.
very tight. I was very stressed that
Uh-huh.
last couple weeks thinking, what if this doesn't come? I'm speaking on this book. I'm going to be offering this book as a resource for the women. So looking back, Just the timing. I wish
Uh-huh.
I could have, because I didn't want it to be stressful at the end, but
Yeah.
it was just the timing made it stressful because I wasn't sure if the books were gonna arrive in time.
Uh-huh.
But I look back and see the grace of God, how his hand was upon the whole thing, and I'm grateful. So that would be the thing, is just to give myself more margin, because
Mhm.
and I got sick through some of that time. I was sick the end of February, beginning of March for 2 weeks.
Oh
And
gosh.
thankfully, I had already passed the book off to, my friend to edit, so I didn't have anything to do really at that point. But then it was like, okay, I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. And I just had to map everything out. But that I don't want another author to feel stressed like I
Mhm.
felt.
Yeah, I
So
think that's
giving more
yeah.
time and space would be what I would say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, much more time than you think you need. That's what I feel
Yes.
like, yeah, is so needed, and like you said, just that white space because you never know. I mean, I think everybody gets sick, right? When something like that's
Yeah.
coming up, it's like there's
Yeah.
always a period of time where somebody else in your family does. There's always some
Yeah.
unexpected things, and it's so hard to plan for those, but you're right. If
Yeah.
you just kinda give yourself a little bit of extra time, than you thought you would need,
Mhm.
then, yeah, maybe you'll be able to get it all done. Well, that's so fun. Well, let's talk about your
Yeah.
podcast, Encouragement
Okay.
for Real Life. So you have
Yep.
been podcasting about as long as I have. This summer will be 5 years, is that right? For
I
your
think you're
show
right.
too? Okay,
I think you're
2021?
right.
Okay, okay, that's
I
what I was
think you're
thinking that we
right.
kinda started around the
Yeah.
same time. So I would just love to hear I think last time I looked, you were almost 250 episodes, which is incredible. It's just like, wow. Which I love that you were talking about pulling from that for your book because I had done
Mhm.
that a while back. I still haven't done anything with it, but I was, like,
Uh,
so surprised how much content was there because I've been
yes. Yeah.
podcasting just like you. So I would love
Yeah.
just to hear how's it going? Just tell us, like, how you feel 5 years into it, how podcasting is
Yeah.
going? Are you looking to continue it? And I know you're talking about your book on there, which is super fun.
Yeah, it's just one of the thing I really enjoy. I just absolutely enjoy podcasting, and I was questioning, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, thinking, "Do am I really supposed to continue this?"
Mhm.
Um, but I absolutely love it. It just gives me joy,
Mhm.
just like writing gives me joy, but speaking does too. And so I absolutely love the tools that we can use through podcasting and how we can just encourage other women, other people. Again, my podcast is for women, but
Mhm.
there's some guys that can listen to it too. But 5 years in, I just really had no idea it was 5 years. But yeah, it'll be 5 years in August. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. It's I didn't know what to expect when I started. I just
Uh-huh.
knew I wanted to try it, and I put a new episode out every Tuesday, Lord willing. And I
Uh-huh.
mean, there was days even when I was sick, I was like, "How am I gonna?" I think it was delayed a couple days because I couldn't
Yeah.
do it on that Tuesday. But it's not a huge podcast, but
Mhm.
it's where I just feel God has me right now,
Mhm.
and I'm
Yeah.
reaching the women that need this message, that are looking for just encouragement for their real life. I mean, we
Mhm.
all have lives that are not perfect by any means. And sometimes we just need a little bit of just, okay, a little shot in the arm saying, you can do this, whatever it
Mhm.
is. Again, it comes from a Christian perspective, but I just see so much fruit from it that I hear almost weekly. Women will say, I just really needed to hear that from you today, or
Mhm.
something like that. And it's a very humbling experience to me that we just get to speak into people's lives. And any podcast out there can really just have an
Mhm.
impact on someone's life. And I love it because I listen to other podcasts like yours, and it's
Mhm.
just something we can have on in the background or driving or
Mhm.
while we're doing other things. And yeah, it's just a tool that I absolutely love being a part of. It's
Mhm.
a really great community, just to be a part of the podcast world. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I so agree, and just being able to, yeah, encourage people on the go, and
Yeah.
reaching people you wouldn't be able to reach any other way,
Right.
because I mean,
Right.
just you have no control over that, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so nice to see how far and wide, exactly as, God calls us to do, just how podcasting enters into that, and I love your show, and it's so easy to listen to, and it just gives you so much to think about, but it's not overwhelming, with too much, to think about, and that's what I love, like, I don't have to go, "Oh, I'm gonna pause this because I'm gonna have to take tons of notes and I need to be at home." It's like, "No,
Yeah.
you give me just what I need." So, yeah, so I love it so much
Mm.
because I
Well,
sure need all the encouragement I can get from my real life. Well, if a writer or author was thinking, "Maybe I might wanna start a podcast," what
mm,
is your one biggest piece of advice for them to get started? Or if they're thinking, "Should I start a podcast?"
yeah. I would just say, why not? try it, and again, I had a lot of prayer before I did mine. I prayed a lot. Am I really supposed to do this? Because once you start something, I wanted to be committed to it. I wanted to not just say, okay, I'm going to do this. And, I might try a couple episodes, and if it doesn't work, I'll quit. I mean,
Mhm.
that's okay to do that. I just knew that if I was going to do this, I really wanted to be in it for the long haul.
Mhm.
And so I would just say try it. If you feel like you have this sense, this promptings, God calling you to do this, then you might have a message to share that no one else from their perspective can
Mhm.
share like you can. And
Yeah.
so the fear will always be there. The fear of, "Oh, what if I fail? What if I'm not
Mhm.
good?" I mean, I listened to my first few episodes and I'm like, "Oh my word, what was I
Mhm.
doing?" We just grow in the process because
Yeah.
we're not going to know everything right up front,
Yeah.
right out of the gate. So we learn as we go, and just yeah, why not give it a try? And if it's not
Yeah.
something that works out, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great way just to reach other people with your message that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach.
Mhm. Yeah, I so
Yeah.
agree, and again, I just love the on the go aspect of it, and
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
multitasking, whatever, you can still be speaking into somebody's heart without them they
Yeah.
may not be ready to
Right.
sit down and read your book yet, or you may not have a book yet, but you
Yeah,
can be
exactly.
encouraging people and, yeah, sharing God's word with them, so that's so fun. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. Yeah, and congratulations, because that's what I remember when I started, I was just like, "You know what? Just make the
Yeah.
commitment for 6 months." Like,
There you
just
go.
commit, and, like, if you end
Mhm.
up stopping, that's okay. You've got 6 months of content, and you've served, and
Yeah.
you've done what God's called you to do, but yeah, and here we are 5 years later. So
I know. Yeah,
it's
and
so
I
fun.
did
I
not
always say
have a
we love
book
it.
at that time.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't have a
right. Yeah.
I didn't my other book didn't come out till 2023. So
Mhm.
you don't have to have a book to do a podcast, but
Yeah.
your audience will grow. Your
Mhm.
book audience will grow because of your podcast too.
Mhm.
So that's a blessing as well.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
Mhm.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
Julie, this has been so, so good. I'm so glad to get to talk to you today, and I can't wait for my listeners to check out your devotional. And again, that's Made for More, 365 devotions for the woman who refuses to settle. I love that so much. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's been a joy. You are a blessing. Thanks for doing all you do.
Oh, don't you just love Julie? I hope you'll check out her Made for More devotional. I am absolutely loving how she packs so much goodness into a short daily moment. If you feel like maybe you're running on empty, writing your book, launching your book, or just trying to show up consistently for your readers week after week, you too may be settling. God has so much more for you. So carve out some time soon to get filled back up. So when you pour it out again, it will be so fruitful. Thanks for tuning into Book Marketing Mania today. And as always, I'll be there for you next episode to help you reach and serve your readers one podcast at a time. See you then.